First at 5, a man is dead after a small plane crash near Austin-Bergstrom International Airport this afternoon. The Federal Aviation Administration says the aircraft left Dallas this afternoon and was heading to Austin.
It crashed near a fire station just north of Highway 71, less than a mile from ABIA. KXAN's Sophia Beausoleil is live from outside that fire station where officials just gave an update tonight. Sophia.
Hi, good evening, Shannon. Officials tell us that the plane crashed less than a third of a mile away from this Austin fire station. You see this fenced area? This is actually owned by the City Aviation Department, and the plane was actually behind the fire station. Now, officials are still waiting for the National Transportation Safety Board to arrive here so they can conduct their investigation. But take a look at your screen. This is video from our Austonian weather camera, and you can see smoke from the wooded area from earlier this afternoon. Firefighters say the twin-engine Piper Aerostar crashed around 1:40, and AFD says it sparked a 3-acre brush fire, but since crews were right around the corner, they were able to quickly get it under control. Now, ABIA officials say they did not have any communication with the pilot saying anything was wrong, but KXAN did speak with a man who lives nearby who says he saw the plane having problems in the air just before it crashed.
It definitely stood out. You could just, it was lower RPM and just sounded way, something wasn't right. I mean, that's why I kind of turned around to even give a second glance.
Now, emergency officials tell us they have been able to search the plane. There was only one male on that aircraft. As soon as we get any other updates, we will let you know. But there's a lot going on here right now as firefighters are still watching that area to make sure none of that brush fire sparks back up, especially since it's dry and it's very windy out here. Reporting live from East Austin, Sophia Beausoleil, KXAN News.
We know the plane that crashed this afternoon is described to us as a twin-engine Piper Aerostar. Here's a picture of the Piper Aerostar that crashed today, taken by photographer Charles Couch back in 2007 when that plane was for sale. It carries up to 6 people. That includes the pilot. The Piper Aerostar can reach speeds of more than 300 miles per hour and can fly as high as 25,000 feet.
I want to give you a better idea of the area where that crash happened this afternoon. The blue dot here shows you where the plane went down, and you can see Texas Highway 71 here, of course the airport here, and a water treatment plant, the blue area there on your screen. It's along the flight path that planes take when landing at Austin's airport. And with the crash happening so close to the airport, we wanted to know how it's affecting flights this afternoon. KXAN's Amanda Brandeis live at ABIA with some answers for us.
ABIA officials tell me business is as usual here at the airport and that the crash didn't affect operations. But we have learned that at least one plane was diverted. Multiple people who got off a United Airlines flight at around 3:15 tell us they were descending into ABIA when all of a sudden the plane went right back in the air. A passenger tells me they were notified that there had been an aircraft accident and that they would be diverted to San Antonio. We first heard about the diversion from a family who was waiting on their friend. Both the family and friend were coming to Austin from Portland, but had been on different flights.
I was just concerned about them because I was thinking they were supposed to land 3 minutes before me. I didn't want them to be the ones on the aircraft that had the accident.
She was fine. She was just frustrated because she was hoping to be here. So, you know, when you leave at 4:30 in the morning or to get up and fly out, she just, you know, she's like, I'm just ready for this to be over.
Now, all in all, the passengers got to ABIA about an hour and 45 minutes later than they were supposed to, but the ones I spoke to tell me they were just happy that they landed safely. Now, I asked an ABIA spokesman about this, and he wasn't aware of the diversion. He says that's in control of the airline. Now, on a side note, we do want to mention another story we're following. There's an emergency landing that's supposed to be happening here at ABIA at any minute. We're told this plane lost cabin pressure and there's about 76 people on board. We'll update you with that information as it comes in. Live at ABIA, Amanda Brandeis, KXAN News.
The plane that crashed this afternoon was likely headed to a private flight support area at ABIA.
KXAN's Kevin Schwaller is live near that area at the airport with details now. Kevin?
Good evening. We know that flight was headed from the Dallas Executive Airport here to Austin, which means when those planes come here through general aviation, they come to one of these two what are known as fixed-based operators. They are the kind of companies that handle things such as hangar space and refueling for the general aviation section out here at the airport. Now, earlier today, we saw that police visited both of these sites. Officers arrived and typically left within just a few minutes. Other than that, things have been running pretty normally out here. Planes were taking off. As far as this plane, we've tracked the owner back to a man in Dallas. And as you mentioned before, that plane is an Aerostar, specifically a 601P, a multi-engine plane. Mentioned that it could hold up to 6 passengers. Some places we're also seeing 4 or 5 passengers will fit in that plane. No word yet, though, from either of these companies. We've gone to both places to ask about this. No word about which different fixed base operator this plane was actually headed to out here. We'll let you know if anything changes out here at the airport. Reporting live at ABIA, Kevin Schwaller, KXAN News.
For more on what may have happened today, what caused that plane to go down, we turn now to an aviation expert.
Richard Hatfield is a retired pilot who flew for Delta Airlines for more than 3 decades. Mr. Hatfield, we really appreciate you being here today. Wondering if there is anything that you have seen or heard so far that kind of makes you wonder about what happened, or really kind of makes it more clear about what happened today.
Well, there's a couple of things that were said. One was that someone heard the engine at a lower RPM. That could be for several reasons. One, they could have pulled the power back if they had gotten too high or something like that. And then another reason is that they didn't talk to him simply because there was some type of emergency, and maybe he was very busy at that point. You have to keep in mind that the most critical times in flying is the takeoff and landings of an aircraft. And there are many reasons for an incident on landing.
What could have happened if he'd be so busy he couldn't say anything to the tower?
Well, in flying an airplane, you are very busy coming down final, and if he did have an engine problem, then that could cause the aircraft to maybe tilt one way or the other. We had very gusty winds today, I believe, and the temperature was very high. It was around 98 degrees. And then I think the other side of it, you would have to look at see what the pilot's experience was in these conditions.
What are investigators, do you think, going to be looking for once they have access to the plane?
Well, the NTSB will be the ones that will do the investigating, and they probably either have somebody on the ground now or on their way, and then they'll do a thorough investigation, and it may take a couple of months to actually find out what really actually happened. It may be, actually it could be 2 things that happened or 3.
Well, even as we speak, we have a Delta Airlines regional jet circling the airport, getting rid of fuel right now due to a loss of pressure in the cabin. They were leaving Austin on the way to LAX in Los Angeles and were coming back to the Austin area. What do you make of that?
Well, first of all, if they had a loss of pressurization, then they could not make the flight to LA simply because of the altitude. You have to, when you get to altitude, you burn a lot less fuel. However, they had the fuel to get to LA, and if they turned around to come back, then they will have to burn the fuel off to get to a reasonable weight to land.
So we hear about this all the time. It's not unusual.
No.
Good thing for that. Well, Richard Hatfield.
I'm sorry, it's not unusual it is unusual to have a loss of pressurization.
Okay. Well, usually it ends well, and they land safely, and hopefully that's happening right now, and all indications are folks are safe in the air right now. Richard Hatfield, a retired pilot for Delta Airlines, thank you for being with us. You mentioned the weather conditions this afternoon. Jim Spencer has been looking at that and what it was like at the time of the crash, Jim.
And Robert, you're looking live at the airport right now. We're still keeping an eye out for that plane that is burning off the fuel to come in. Apparently it is still circling. Just saw a Southwest Airlines flight land a moment ago. But you're looking right now at the weather conditions between 1 and 2 p.m. this afternoon. And yes, it was windy, but this isn't anything that pilots aren't used to handling. A partly cloudy sky at that time. Winds were consistently between 15 and 20 miles per hour during the 1 to 2 p.m. hour. We did see some gusts of 20 to 25 miles per hour, so it would appear unlikely that weather would have played any kind of role in today's crash.